So this is a look at a Steinite, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, crystal radio set from the 1920s. In the video I'll actually see a Steinite handwritten label on the back and think that's somebody's name. Of course that's incorrect. The label's interesting because it says like Steinite, which makes me wonder if this is an actual Steinite radio or very close approximation of one. The photographs I found on the web for the Steinite actually have looks to be a brass plate on the front with the manufacturer's name and info. This one doesn't have that plate, and I didn't see holes on it where a plate may have been mounted. Anyhow, let's dive in and take a look at this old radio. So I thought today we'd start taking a look at this crystal radio set that I picked up sometime the last couple of years at a ham fest. It's a pretty thing. We'll take a look. There's an aerial input jack. There's a ground jack for the aerial. There's a couple of phono output jacks. There's of course the crystal detector. There should be most likely a germanium crystal. Back in the holder there, this is called a cat whisker. As you can hopefully see here, if I can get a hold of it, you can move this little arm around. You can see in there a small piece of wire, which is the cat whisker. That piece of wire is pushed up against that crystal and then moved around on its surface to find a spot where it receives. It becomes, in essence, a diode detector. We have a tuning knob, which I'm going to assume is changing a air gap capacitor in there. And we have these set of contacts down here that we'll take a closer look at here in a second. These contacts are interesting. It's essentially a 6-pole switch. The little slide here is difficult to slide, but you can slide it to various positions. There is a contact loop up underneath, if I can get it in shot here, and then you can lock it in place with the little knob. I'm assuming that's some kind of range select. Maybe we'll know more when we get inside. So quickly we'll take a look around the radio. It's in this nice wooden box that somebody's obviously spent some time in to make look pretty. It's got these interesting sloped edges to the design. Of course it's got these 2 cutouts around it to kind of give it some visual detail. It's, you know, a beautiful old wooden box. It's got this plastic top that is very smooth. I'm guessing it's some kind of phenolic, although I could be definitely wrong. And underneath, let me flip it over. It's a cardboard kind of, it's very papery feeling backside in it. I'm not sure if this is somebody's name. I'm guessing it is. And then we have a rather hard to make out handwritten inscription here. It looks like an address is what I'm seeing in it, though I could be wrong. It looks like there's actually a zip code there, and I believe it may say Renton there, as in Renton, Washington, though it's hard to say. I've gone ahead and backed out the 4 screws. As you can see, they are a slot style screw. They are brass, as I've commented in other videos. They have a very beautiful little patina to them. It's always fun working through the viewfinder on a camera. The lack of course, depth perception makes it somewhat interesting to try to manipulate things. You've probably seen a photo of the inside of this before, because I have actually opened it up before and taken a look inside. Let me flip it over here and sit it back down in the case. We can see inside that it's got this beautiful coil here. Several taps of that coil come down to the contact post for that 6-way switch. This will be the ground to ground, so the aerial ground on one side and the headset jack on the other side. This should be the antenna in, if I recall correctly. This is rather delicate. I want to be careful picking it up. Yes, that is the aerial input side. So we have the aerial in, which of course goes off to this guy, and we have the output from the detector back to the phono side. The knob, see if I can get you a detailed or a shot down in here. I'll be back. With some additional light, we can kind of get a view down inside. This does look like it's essentially an air gap capacitor. That knob comes through and there's an eccentric on the end of the shaft. I don't know how much you can see of it. Let me prop this up and we'll rotate it. Taking a look down inside, you can see the rotation about there. The capacitor is as closed as it can be. As I rotate this, you'll see the little eccentric or cam come around to the fully open position. That seems like just a very simple capacitor. It seems to be just 2 plates of brass with what looks like a cardboard insulator, and the brass screw from the knob changing the air gap. So shooting video down into something like this little cat whisker detector is interesting. I'm not sure how much detail you can see here. I can rotate, of course, the crystal around, or the cat whisker around, and you can essentially scan the surface of that, what I'm assuming to be a germanium crystal, to get a spot where it becomes a detector. I have not tried to use this crystal set. I don't have a high tension headphone. Standard like set of headphones you'd use on a phone, etc. The impedance of the little speakers is low enough that there wouldn't be enough drive here to drive them. I've seen a couple, old school, very old school headphones. I just never pick one up when I see them. One of these days I'll grab one. I'll string some copper wire up and see if maybe I can detect a little AM radio. So, I know this was a brief video, but I hope you enjoyed looking at this very old school crystal set.